today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Further indication that Clarissa Shields' campaign to smear Laila Ali's name is not going as she would expect. She said, Laila is doing everything but fighting me, but a little birdie told me she's trying to train my future opponent. Good luck with that. Anyways, fight announcement coming soon. Likely another soup lady or another soccer mom in the Baron division, that is the heavyweight division. Brother Muzown said, Sis is literally old enough to be your mother, champ. You'd wash her in the ring, but you'll never win a social media battle versus the daughter of Muhammad Ali, at least not in the eyes of the public.
He's right.
You should just let all that nonsense go and focus on who will actually fight you, to which Clarissa responded, I am winning.
But is she? Not based on the comments under that post.
Unbiased Boxing said, and for some strange reason, your level's above all the girls you fight, but can't knock anybody out. You've got to focus on putting shit down. She's got more knockouts than you have fights. To which Clarissa responded, you sound stupid. I have 19 world champions. To which Unbiased responded, it's not an appealing fight, honestly, and it makes you look pressed. Somebody in your circle's got to keep it super real with you. You're already on top, 19 titles, etc., just right off into the sunset. But trying to sweat in for a fight with a retired fighter? That ain't it.
She said she has 19 world titles, many of which were vacant, many of which people couldn't tell you who she fought to get the vast majority of those titles. It's supposed to be this monumental achievement that she's picked up so many belts across so many weight classes, and yet most people can't tell you who the fuck did she fight for most of those belts.
Michelle Lewis said, why don't you stop mentioning her name? To which Clarissa responded, she's still mentioning mine.
No, she isn't. Laila Ali's last post regarding anything involving Clarissa is from 4 days ago, whereas this is from yesterday. If anybody's keeping this thing alive, it's Clarissa, because she has to. She has to sell herself and sell her fights somehow.
Skip Hannity said, I can't tell if you're in on the joke or you truly believe serious people care how many titles you have. In a heavyweight and light heavyweight division, the titles are just marketing. They aren't serious. 3 titles for a single fight against a part-time boxer? Laughing my ass off.
All 3 were vacant, by the way.
At the time that Clarissa Shields moved up to the heavyweight division, there was only one champion there. That was Vanessa Joanese. And Vanessa only had 1 belt.
The other 3 were vacant. The other 3 titles Shields ended up picking up were manufactured. So it's not the monumental achievement she's making it out to be. It's easy to pick up belts when no one is holding them. James Callahan said, she retired 9 years before your debut. It's not happening. Let it go. Gareth said, she's getting her free bus pass soon. Why are you trying to fight a pensioner?
Because she ain't got no situational awareness. Does she really expect people to celebrate her fighting a woman almost 50 years old?
Merrick D. Calhoun said, they say you're yelling Laila so you can duck and dodge Deja Green. That's just what we're hearing. Former UFC champion Chris Cyborg said, why are you spending so much time talking about women that have been retired for over 20 years? You're quiet after all that back and forth.
I'll tell you what it is and why she's keeping this beef with Laila Ali alive. More people know Laila Ali than who she's about to fight, whoever she's about to fight. Likely another soup lady, another soccer mom,
right?
Just another fighter that doesn't sell anything. Needless to say that a fight like that is difficult to promote. So to promote it, she's going to keep mentioning Laila. She's going to keep bringing her up. She's going to keep attacking her publicly to promote her fight, promote her fights. That Laila Ali might become the biggest part of promoting Clarissa Shields because she can't promote herself.
Not really, no.
And the added scrutiny of what's supposed to be her newly inked $8 million deal. A lot of people are going to be paying attention to that. The quality of the production, the quality of the opponent. What is Clarissa making for the fight? Because if you inked an $8 million deal...
What's that? 2 fights a year for the next 2 years, resulting in $8 million at the end of the deal. So what's that? $2 million a fight. Is Clarissa going to make $2 million for her next fight?
Be pretty fucking strange if she doesn't, given all the hullabaloo around this newly inked deal.
She's going to keep using the beef with Laila to promote herself, no matter how ridiculous it makes her look. Because it is ridiculous to call out a fighter that's been retired for this long.
Now, just in keeping with the theme of all things ridiculous, ADZMC said, Virgil comes across as genuine, but I don't know the ins and outs of negotiations. He honestly sounds like a guy who's willing to fight anyone. Can the same be said for Boots?
Yeah, I don't agree with any of that, by the way.
Veteran boxing scribe Dan Raphael said, I do believe Ortiz wants the fight. Not so sure about his promoter or manager. Ultimately, the fighters can simply tell their people, don't talk to me about anything else, make the fight. Sometimes, that's what it takes. For what it's worth, Ennis and Eddie said their side is done.
Make the fight.
Dan Raphael is right. The manager works for the fighter after all, so if the fighter puts their foot down and says, I want that fight, and I don't want any other fight but that one.
Gotta make the fight. Virgil Ortiz is not some teen or some tween to where he can hide behind his manager or hide behind his promoter. He has as much say-so in negotiations as he wants to have.
So that if this fight isn't made, it's because he doesn't want it to get made. Now, Rick Mirigian,
Fucking dickhead.
manages the career of Virgil Ortiz, responded to Dan by saying, shame on you, saying not so sure. Send an offer that says this is the biggest fight in the sport on over, and gets this done in 15 minutes on our side. That's simple. I know the numbers like Google. Get them right, and you have a fight.
Wait till you see the number Rick is looking for.
Boxeo Pat's friend of the channel said, Rick, the problem is, this isn't the biggest fight in the sport. It's a fantastic fight, but nowhere near 10 million.
Nowhere near the biggest. Asking for 10 million is just crazy talk and makes it sound like you don't want it.
To which Rick Mirigian responded, only crazy to people like you that talk with zero experience, zero idea what a fight is worth and why, and I can go on why you should not talk about things you don't have experience in. You sound like a landscaper who is currently talking about open heart surgery.
Ah, the old appeal to authority. Haven't seen that before.
To which Boxeo Pats responded, okay, Rick, you'll definitely get the 10 million you're asking for. I mean, Virgil sells a huge amount of tickets, doesn't he? Oh, wait. No, he doesn't.
Now, what everybody's talking about is Rick Mirigian's expressed request for a $10 million offer, when Rick Mirigian said, don't send shit our way unless it has 7 zeros on it,
The fuck?
or it won't even get looked at.
See, when you let the manager tell the story, the fight is always the biggest fight in boxing so that they can justify asking for the biggest money. Money so big, it doesn't actually make sense. Virgil is not a $10 million fighter, and this fight with Boots,
It doesn't warrant asking for that number for that fight.
another manager in the sport of boxing, Adrian Clark, who manages the career of Errol Spence Jr., said, this is a business for us. It's a sport for y'all. Y'all saying, fuck what we're saying, and we're saying the same shit.
No, Adrian. This is not a business for you guys. You think it's a giveaway.
You and other managers like you, like Adrian Clark, like Rick Mirigian, you guys think that you're supposed to get whatever you ask for, even when it makes no business sense. And my question is, who are you even asking at this point? Because all the networks are gone. The network money.
NBC is gone, Fox is gone, Showtime is gone, HBO, ESPN.
All gone. So when some highfalutin manager demands $10 million for a fight, who's supposed to kick it out?
That's what Rick wants for the Boots fight. But if you give Virgil Ortiz $10 million to fight Boots, what do you give Boots?
Pay attention.
What do you give him? Do you give him 5? Do you give him 10? Is the commercial value of Boots versus Ortiz 15 million? 20 million? I don't think so.
That is not a $20 million fight. If you put it on, it does not generate $20 million.
How do I know? Well, in order to generate $20 million at the box office, just to generate it, not even take it home, but just to generate it, they would have to sell in excess of 330,000 pay-per-views at a price point of $60. That's the going rate for a pay-per-view on the DAZN platform, roughly $60 on average. And you would have to sell over 330,000 pay-per-views just to generate 20 million. That doesn't even mean you get to take it all home.
No, sir. A large portion of what that generates would go to the operational costs, like promotion, production, the people shooting the fight, the undercard fighters. It's not a clean 20 million. Not that I think they could generate that at the box office, because they can't. Not in this landscape. Not when more and more Americans are moving away from pay-per-view and watching boxing on illegal streams Instead,
This fight does not generate in excess of 300,000 pay-per-views in America. I can tell you that right now.
what about the gate? What would they generate at the gate?
Well, just a few million more, but not enough that Rick Mirigian should be demanding $10 million for the fight. That is not the commercial value of Ennis versus Ortiz. The only person that I can think of that could kick out that kind of money for a fight
It's Turkey.
Turkey LL Sheik. He's the only one I can think of who could pay in excess of market value for a show. But I don't even think that's what he was going to pay them before. When he tried to make it before, I don't think that's what he had on the table for them.
No, I think the purses looked more like maybe 4 to 5 million for each fighter. 4 to 5 for Virgil, 4 to 5 for Boots, which is more than they're making now per fight. What I think is Rick Mirigian, knowing that, is now asking for double that number to sabotage the fight so that the fight doesn't happen.
Before the fight, you saw Virgil Ortiz's father say that Boots hasn't fought anyone and he has to earn a fight with Virgil.
But if Boots hasn't fought anybody, in your opinion, and he hasn't earned the fight, why are you guys asking for so much money to fight him? If he's a nobody who ain't fought nothing but nobodies, why would you need $10 million to fight him?
Because they're scared.
I told you, I don't put boxers on a pedestal by default. I don't think they're all brave and noble. In fact, I think most of them are opportunists. Brazen opportunists, just like their managers. If this were the fight that Virgil really wanted, he could put his foot down. Virgil's not a little kid. He's 27 going on 28 years old. Close to 30, to where you can't hide behind your manager. You can't hide behind your promoter and what decisions are being made. You have a say-so too, to where if you wanted this fight, you would have this fight. So if you don't have it, it's because you don't want it.
You'll let your manager take the blame, though.
And he will. Asking for 10 million? The old saying goes, there are a lot of ways to say no to a fight. This is one of them. Asking for money you don't expect anybody to give you.
Even if Boots said no to the fight before, you're saying no to the fight now. Asking for 10 million when you don't expect to get it. And you know this is also a big part of the reason why boxing has declined in America in the last 10 years. Boxers asking for money that simply isn't out there and holding fights to ransom in the process.
Instead, filling the schedule with filler fights and stay busy fights that nobody's really that interested in. This is why there's an influx of pay-per-views. So many fights are now ending up on pay-per-view based on the purse demands of the fighters, of the managers, for money they don't generate, money they're not actually good for.
Let them tell the story. Any fight involving their fighter is the biggest fight in boxing.
Do you know why they say that? So they can justify asking for ridiculous money their fighter isn't good for. That's why they all say that. You ask them, every fight involving their fighter was a big fight, was a sellout.
Bullshit.
Virgil didn't sell out on Saturday. That event struggled to sell tickets all week.
Well, it did look like there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, because that's where the cameraman points the camera at. He's not gonna point the camera at curtained off sections where nobody's seated. Bottom line, $10 million for a Boots fight is too much. Way too much. That's an astronomical number. Even by Turkey LL Sheik's standards.
But that's why they're asking for it. Because they don't expect to get it. Because they don't want to fight Boots.
Once you start hearing things like, you know, we're the A-side and we want 10 million and we want, what does Boots, it's like, what? Guys, you know, Ortiz has never been a world champion. Great fighter. Boots has been world champion, he's been a unified champion, but neither of them are world champions now. They're just the top two fighters in the division. So, if you truly believe that you're the best, make the fight. And it'll be really interesting to now see if they truly believe. Because the fight's there, the fight's done, the money's there, the pay-per-view's there. I mean, it's like, it's a massive fight, but you can find an excuse if you don't want to do it. So we'll see.
And obviously we saw the fighters face off, and we know you want to fight, the fighters clearly want to fight. And you mentioned the $10 million mark by Rick Mirigian, I believe his name is, the manager of Virgil Ortiz. Do you see it as an obstacle? I mean, is it a real obstacle?
If you come out with things, you know, I mean, look, if the fight delivers and it does really well, the fighter's going to make a load of money. They're going to make a load of money anyway. But, like, when are you going to hear me come out about this fight or Boots coming out saying, we want this, we're the A-side? No, we just want the fight. We just need to prove that we're better than everybody else. But if Virgil wants the fight, I have no doubt. Does the father? Does Robert Garcia? Does Rick Mirigian? Probably not. Does Oscar De La Hoya? probably not.
No, they don't. But I don't really think Virgil wants it either. Eddie Hearn says that the fight is there, the money is there, the pay-per-view is there.
Eddie seems to have faith in the finances for this fight. Why don't you, Ring IQ?
Because of what Rick is asking for. If Rick wants $10 million for his fighter, what are you gonna have to pay Boots? And when you put it all together, what is that gonna cost? So that if you end up spending 15 to put it together, or 20, or 25.
Does the fight generate the 20? Does it generate the 25? The money you put in, does the fight make it back? No, not at that price.
It's called budgeting, folks. It's what most adults, independent ones, have to do throughout their day-to-day lives. So that if this fight costs you 15 to put together, 20 to put together, but it doesn't actually make the money back, what do you call that?
A categorical flop is what you call that.
And at a time where piracy is at an all-time high and Americans are not buying pay-per-views anywhere near as much as they used to, most pay-per-views that you put on are likely to flop. So what do? How can you remedy this? Keep the costs down.
Keep the operational costs to a minimum. And if the fight is as big as the managers say it is, they'll make their money on the back end. They'll make their money off the upside.
It's that easy, why don't they do it that way?
Because the managers don't actually believe what they're saying. They want a fuck ton of money up front because they don't expect the pay-per-view to do well. They know what's going on out there just as much as I or you. So they hold these fights to ransom, expecting astronomical guarantees that make the fight risky to put on.
All lending itself to boxing's decline in the United States. It was veteran boxing scribe Stephen Kimothy who said, "Here's the reality of the Boots versus Ortiz situation. Since both Matchroom and Golden Boy have output deals with DAZN, they both have fallback options. Just find other opponents good enough to satisfy the network and then move on. And as usual, the fans get let down, but have to accept what is foisted onto them."
He's only half right. The fans don't have to accept it, and the ones that don't turn to illegal streams to get their boxing fix. They're not going to keep paying for fights they weren't asking for.
Soaring costs to watch a halfway decent boxing match, and a lot of the time, it's not even a fight that you wanted. It's not the fight you were asking for. All part of a vicious cycle that has led to a dwindling audience for boxing in the United States. This myriad of problems and money grabbers, greedy managers and greedy fighters looking for money that just isn't out there.
In a word, Virgil Ortiz and his team have priced themselves out. That's the bottom line.